Hello, everybody. Hard Talk Radio. About to give you very interesting commentary. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
The not being present in your life, you ain't present for you. A huge fan of the show, been a fan from the beginning, so was crushed. These are the last episodes. Can you tell me about deciding that now was the time to bring the show to you? Spirited. This guy didn't say it's time to go. So it's time to go. I don't have to have a reason. I don't have to know what's coming. Yeah. Everything must change. Yeah. Over the years you've helped, I think, just generational curses and issues, across sexual abuse, addiction, so many things. Are there episodes or families that have stuck with you over the years as some of the more powerful episodes? I wouldn't say more powerful. I think the more people. Yeah. Clearly the Mitchell family, Jay Williams and his 34 children and 9 baby mamas. We have a beautiful family this season that you'll see, the John family. We ended them the last season with them. But it's really then we had, I think it was the 6 daughters. I don't remember the name. The 6 daughters trying to reunite with their mother. Yeah. So it's, I just remember the issues and the work. And what I hold on to is the issues that most of the viewers can identify with. Yeah. And I think most people can identify with mother-daughter breakdowns, sister-sister breakdown, and also try to get your children's father to do the right thing. Right. Because of you, people regularly like to do your work. How does that feel for you, just knowing the impact that you had? Well, I don't think it's me as much as it is the show. I believe that Fix My Life created a whole new genre of television that lets us know we can talk about the things that were unspeakable, and that we can heal the things that we thought were unhealed, that we forgive the things that were unforgivable. And I think it's created a template that other will follow at some point in time. I think it's just made a contribution to families and communities in a way that's very powerful. And what have you learned about yourself over the years working on this show?
what have I learned about myself? Um, I've learned how much work I have done on myself. I've learned how much work I still have to do on myself. I've learned um, how to listen at a much deeper level. Um, and I've always been a pretty good listener, but I've learned how to listen even deeper. Um, I think the biggest lesson for me is how to do how to sacrifice without being deprived. Things in my life required the sacrifice of a lot of time, a lot of energy, all of my relationships, and but because I loved it, there was no complaint, there was no deprivation. So the power of sacrifice and surrender.
Okay. Back in 2013, I interviewed you when I worked with Madame Noir, and we had, a viral moment. We talked about Black women and boundaries, and you said we were out of order.
We're still out of order.
Like, you're not even gonna let me set up the question.
That's what I like about her. I mean, I like the fact that she's able to call it out as she see it, about Black women being out of order. Yes, the feminism has caused Black women to be out of order. And these women nowadays want a traditional man with a 1950s mindset, but they want to be a new age woman. And I respect Iyanla Vanzant for her stance. Okay. And unfortunately, she'll be called a pick me. She'll be called a lot of negative names because she's willing to stand in this culture of nonsense and willing to call out the crap that is killing the Black community and killing Black people as a whole. That's what I respect about it. Let's continue.
Well, tell me, you said if we understood who we were, we would not let other people define us and define us. And that you said we're demeaned, diminished, demoralized, and things. Tell it why you say we're still out of order.
I think now because we get paid to be out of order now.
Okay.
And she's right about that. Look at all these reality shows. Okay. Hip Hop Wives of Atlanta, which really isn't Hip Hop Wives of Atlanta, just a bunch of women that had kids out of wedlock and they're being celebrated for it. Black women. Okay. You have a lot of women, prestigious Black women, that could be showed in mainstream media, but they're not. What's given more exposure is to women like Kim Kardashian, women like Cardi B, women like Meg Thee Stallion, women like Nicki Minaj, women like Rihanna. Okay, those are the type of women that get more attention instead of women who've had degrees and women who've actually done positive things for the Black community. Women like Claire, the Claire Huxtable image. Okay, and that's gone from an era where there was morality and it helped the Black community. You know how many families, Black families, the Cosby Show helped? That even if you had a crappy family background, you had hope and a path and a blueprint not to have a crappy family of your own when you grew up. That was a positive, wholesome show. But look what's put out in the media now. Okay? Look what's put out. What gets more views? A Black woman building a school, or a Black woman getting into fist fights in Atlanta. Let's continue.
You know, some of the images that we allow to be portrayed of us, some of the ways that we behave and treat each other publicly. And we've made a lot of progress. I want to look at the sweet spots also. I mean, we've got a woman of color in the White House. We've got women of color in Congress, everywhere. I think on the personal level, down on the ground, we still need to do some work. And I don't blame us. I just say that the way we've been conditioned and programmed and educated doesn't afford us the ability to really tap into and live fully who we are. And then we engage in bad behavior, just bad behavior.
My thing is like, okay, I have a problem when she says she doesn't blame us, but who else are you going to blame? Who else is being fed that material? Who else is choosing that to go after the Nicki Minaj's or the liberal black women who are ratchet and out of control? Who are you going to blame? You blame black men are to blame for listening to rap music and committing crime, not having control over themselves when they see images, negative images. Why can't black women be blamed for subscribing to whore culture? I mean, what happened to personal responsibility, holding someone accountable? That's all I'm saying.
What you said at the time, I think he said about Boo Boo with no paycheck, dealing with him crying and running by.
And this is hard. It's hard because it's I love us. And so I want to fully step into my role as an elder and be able to say things that you may not like, but you will at least respect.
That's the thing. And she says it hurts. But you want to be this leader for black women, black men are told all the time of what they do wrong and told to look at each other look in the mirror for our faults. When it comes to this is this is where I see that the manosphere is right in a lot of ways when it comes to like women have a hard time accepting accountability for their actions. They'll always try to push the buck to something else, unless that woman has a stern father figure or that person could honestly be honest with herself, or they have good, a role model, a mentor that pushed them to take accountability for their actions.
And the way we are moving in the world, it's time for us to close our legs. Close your legs, open your heart.
So, by her saying that, she's actually telling black women something that that was been said to them by people who cared about them and their families, people who cared about them in heated arguments when they have done things and refused to take correction. And a lot of women have a hard time accepting it. But maybe they'll accept it from Iyanla Vanzant. Very few will, because there's advantages to this sexual liberation era. They don't have to listen to anybody. They can do what they want. And if they get pregnant or catch a STD that they can't get rid of, they could always blame men or blame somebody, white people, somebody, white supremacy, somebody. But they get away scot-free without blaming themselves for what they have done. That's what I realize.
Let's get clear before we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over. Because the men are they're they're trying to get themselves together. And we are so far ahead of them, but we don't really occupy that space. And so we keep getting in these transient relationships, bringing children in when we're unprepared, they're unprepared. The number of children in foster care, the number of children in just difficult situations.
My thing is like, how are you ahead of men when you guys are more for having kids out of wedlock, trying to be equals to men, but want none of the responsibility? Okay. My body, my choice. Okay. But have a problem when a man says, my wallet, my choice. If he did not want a child and you still had sex with them and not willing to take care of the child by yourself. I'm just saying, for an argument like that. That was brought up by Dave Chappelle in the comedy skit, the comedy routine, Sticks and Stones. And it made sense. And a lot of women shook their heads because they didn't really want that responsibility. They just want to say they want to be equal. They just want to say, they just want equality in name only. Okay. And I just don't see the fact as how are black women ahead of black men. If you were ahead of black men, you would cherish your womb and stop being okay with having abortion clinics in your neighborhoods. You would see the damage it does to your mind, how it could mess you up psychologically, and how there's a high suicide rate. You wouldn't be siding with the LGBT, okay, especially with the trans women that want to take your spot. They want to replace straight women. They can't, but that's their delusional goal. Okay. They're ahead of black men, but you're still really not. You're just further off the cliff. You don't see it, but you're soon falling off the cliff. And sometimes maybe some of you do see it, but by then it's too late. You're either single mothers in unhappy marriages. Okay. Or just bitter and dying alone.
And I know what it's like to start out and think everything's going to go well. And then years in, you're like, okay, what happened? Mm-hmm. So we've got to be a little more prepared on the front end, so we don't have such difficulty on the black end. Right. And I say that because I love us and I love children, and I just want us to do better and be better.
Well, lastly, I know you said you don't have to know what's next or, anything after the show, but, are there things you're hoping for or some ideas, of what we may see from you next?
Well, what I'm working on right now, that's going to begin in May, is I'm doing a process to heal the trauma of sexual abuse, because it's so rampant in our community, and it's up in the universe. I mean, every place you look, he touched me, she touched me, they touched me. And so, as someone who's been through that experience, people, it's not the experience, it's the trauma of the experience. And many of us are still living in that trauma. So I'm offering a process in May to support women in releasing the trauma of sexual abuse, so that we can really begin to move differently in the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah.
So that's really what I want to do. I want to take the global teaching of It's My Life and bring it to more intimate settings where I can interact with people in a more intimate and personal way.
All right. So that's basically her interview. To me, it felt very kind of, she said the truth about certain things, but at the same time, she just didn't want to actually hold black women to the fire. She didn't want to actually put it like, listen, we have caused a lot of our problems, okay, in our lives, okay? She didn't want to say that. It's like she wanted to keep her brand. It's like she didn't want to be honest with herself and the person that's interviewing her and with black women as a whole. She just wanted to just have a way to just say, yeah, we're at fault. We need to keep our legs closed and we're being paid to act the fool. But at the same time, it's not our fault. So it's like, I can't really take you seriously. It's like you're not really to really lay the fault where it's need to be laid about why you say the real reason why black women are still out of order and how you know the truth, but you really keep suppressing it. And that is something that I kind of really have a big problem with Iyanla Vanzant. You say they're out of control, but you're not really to give the full reason as of why. Okay? There's no reason for us to have children with men who don't honor us, says self-help guru. Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. That is true. But again, it felt like she just wasn't really out there. She didn't really give the whole truth. She just suppressed some of it. Oprah self-help guru Iyanla Vanzant has branded black women out of order and mentally, emotionally, and spiritually sick. Yeah, due to the sexual abuse and whatever trauma that they have not taken care of. And let's face it, in the black community, it's looked upon as weak to get help from a mental health professional. It's not looked upon as a strong and logical thing to do. It's looked upon as a sign of weakness. It just shows how backwards black America really is. Liberal black America, that is. Not all blacks are like this. Vanzant, who rose to prominence following the success of a series of inspirational books, including The Meantime, expressed her disdain at women of color, allowing other people to define us. She told Madame Noir, we have such a rich culture, and in that culture, there are roles and purposes and powers, and we live in a society now where women are commodities, where women are demeaned, diminished, demoralized in the ways that we accommodate. Well, yeah, because the women of today, the liberal black women, they're for whore culture, they're for feminism that says sexual liberation, but it's not really sexual liberation. It's sexual imprisonment, sexual slavery. And the fact that you want to act wild and loose as a responsible, a sexually irresponsible man, but you don't want to pay the consequences of being a sexually as a sexual irresponsible man would pay those consequences. You know, permanent STDs, unwanted pregnancies, shame, you know, at sometimes violence, and and in some worse stages, death, because you want to play, you want to play the part of a thought. She added, if we really understood who we are as feminine representations of the creator of the universe, some of the things we experience in life, like crying when the unemployed boo-boo leaves us, and we are really understood who we are, we wouldn't be so apt to let other people define us and confine us. We are out of order. The married 59-year-old has become quite vocal following the launch of her self-help book, TV series on Oprah Winfrey's television network OWN. Her comments came after the airing of her own special Daddyless Daughters, in which she examines the psychological issues of women growing up without fathers. Vanzant voiced her concerns about the fact Black women allow men and other people to treat them in ways that render them mentally, emotionally, spiritually sick. But she also called on Black women to accept responsibility for the fact that by having children out of wedlock with men who are not ready to be fathers and partners, they are perpetuating the cycle of violence. Ooh, she's saying that they should choose better. Ooh. But she also called on Black women to, all right, read that. We are out of order. Let me just go right ahead and say it. Let me just ask forgiveness now. And she said, there's no reason for us to continue to have children with men who don't honor us and take care of their children. Out of order. The outspoken star went on to lambaste women who dishonor, betray, and defile one another. Sleep with your sister's husband? What? Pluck your eye out right now, she said. Her comments have been met with agreement from fellow Black women. One user wrote, the website sisterhood is dead. These chicks will jump over their mama to get a man. I don't even bother with having friends with Black chicks anymore. Too much emotional drama. I don't have the time. Well, you can see this as the fact that, remember with the Derek Jackson situation, how many women were bashing Derek Jackson's wife, saying that she's homely, she looks whack. Even the side chicks that Derek Jackson slept with, the second one. Okay. They don't care. They would just slit each other's throat, violate a marriage just to get at another woman's husband. Talk about dirty macking. Another added, I agree, there are many Black women that are out of order. I'm a Black woman, and in my personal life, from co-workers to friends to family, the things Black women have allowed to happen, how will we justify someone mistreating us and not honoring us is sad. It's the truth. It's the truth, but you'll have some women that will call her an old pick-me, that will try to shame her, but she is telling the truth, okay? I give her that in those regards, okay? But a lot of Black women will not want to hear this. They will not want to hear this message because this message comes with conviction. And a lot of women want nothing to do with that. They want to blame men for everything. They want to say feminism is the greatest thing on earth when it's actually hindering Black women and making them, be nothing more than baby-making machines for foster care. All right, that's all I got to say about this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want me to do any stories, redpillman1988 at gmail.com. redpillman1988 at gmail.com. Later.